Good morning. Welcome to the second edition of Notes from the Capitol. I appreciate everyone who took the opportunity to give a listen the first time around, and we'll see if we can't make some improvements each time and make these a little more informative, a little more useful, and hopefully bring you back to hear more in the future. First off, I want to give another thanks to Sound Shop Electronics and Rick Sowers for the production efforts on these YouTube and notes out there. I hope that everyone finds them useful, and tell Rick thanks when you see him around. In the upcoming week, the agenda for the Appropriations Committee appears to be pretty full. On Wednesday, I will be meeting at my office with the Governor's Director of Budget, Shawn Sullivan, for conversations regarding the Governor's proposed budget. Looking forward to that half-hour meeting in anticipation and before the appropriations meeting that day. The remainder of the week in appropriations appears to be pretty full. On Tuesday the 24th, we'll be hearing briefings in regard to fiscal year 2017 budget proposals. First off, from the Public Safety Budget Committee, followed by the Social Service Agencies Committee, and then a report from the Budget Subcommittee for K-12 Education. That particular committee, you might recall this past week, indicated by a vote that they would be rejecting the proposal from the governor to delay a portion of KPERS payments in that particular budget. I'm looking forward to some significant conversations in appropriations regarding those proposals and recommendations as they come in from the budget subcommittees. Again, I'll point out and remind everyone that believe it would be significant and useful to each of you to follow the live streams that are available for committee hearings throughout the course of this legislative session. For example, with appropriations, if you will go to kansaslegislature.org, that's kslegislature.org, and on that particular page, under the tab of committees, go down to standing and click there, and then under standing, click the appropriations. And when you get the page for appropriations, you'll notice a list of the bills and such that are available or may be heard or potentially could be heard by that committee. But at the top, just under the heading appropriations and the meeting day, time, and schedule, you'll notice a click that or a heading that says Room 112N audio stream. And if you'll click on that, that's the live audio stream in that particular room for appropriations each day at 9 o'clock a.m. As a side note, both of the other committees that I sit on, Commerce and Judiciary, both meet in that same room, and that same link for audio stream is provided for that room. So on any particular day at 1:30 or 3:30, you can also listen in live through that audio stream, both to Commerce and Judiciary. If there are other committees that you're interested in, you can find those in a similar fashion on that page. In Commerce Committee this week, the significant piece of information would appear to occur on Tuesday. The House Commerce Committee will be having a joint meeting with Senate Commerce. That'll be at noon on Tuesday, as I said, again in room 112N, and you can find that audio link there if you want to listen in on that joint committee meeting. We will also be having hearings in the Judiciary Committee at 3:30 Monday through Thursday next week. Of significance in Judiciary, we will be hearing Monday and Tuesday hearings on asset forfeiture statutes. Those are the statutes that provide for law enforcement seizure of assets that are related or involved in criminal activity. We have some very significant potential amendments to those statutes, and if you'd like to hear more about those, I encourage you to contact the office and I can get you directly to some of the bill information. But we expect a significant amount of testimony and a lot of appearances for those 2 days of hearings on Monday and Tuesday. Although there are lots of significant pieces of information during the week, I will comment briefly on the news we received this week in regard to the CanCare program and the notification of a denial of extension by the feds for the December 17 through December 18 time period. I was extremely disappointed, as were most other legislators, that I found out about that denial of a requested extension through the Capitol Journal news update as I woke up on Thursday morning. That's a notification that the state had received several days previously, And as you might imagine, the legislators, including myself, would prefer to not have that information disclosed to us through the media, but would like to have that information provided immediately. I think right now there are ongoing communications between the legislature and the governor's office to hopefully avoid any similar circumstance in the future. But I'll provide additional information in regard to the denial of the extension as we receive that information. About midweek, we received a very informative presentation from the director of KPERS. There are obviously some significant challenges in regard to that program. I want to make clear that the information which was provided reinforced for us that KPERS benefits are secure for any current or future employees of the state. So people should not be concerned that their KPERS benefits are at risk at this point. But there's a significant issue for the legislature to address to make sure that that is the case decades into the future. On a little bit lighter note, I do want to acknowledge that I had my first 2 pages for the week from Dodge City High School. Rodrigo and Alicia were there on, I believe it was Tuesday, and participated in the PAGE program. Tours of the Capitol. I got to meet with them for a little while. They got their picture taken with the governor, which I understand was a highlight of the trip. But I certainly do appreciate them coming up and want to thank them for taking the time to come in and learn a little bit about our state government. In the week to come, I expect to be receiving some visits from several constituents. This past week, I met with Gerald Kimmerer from Pride Ag, as well as Rick Dahlke from Compass Behavioral Health. It's always nice to have local folks come up to the Capitol, and if you're there at any point in time, please make sure that you contact my office. I'd love to get together with you for a few minutes and stay up to date on local concerns. In this week to come, anticipate meeting with several more folks from the community. Nancy Whitson with the CRNA Association. I believe we're expecting to see Dr. Jeremy Presley from Family Associates here up there on behalf of family physicians, and look forward to meeting with them, along with some folks from, I believe, from the Kansas Electric Cooperatives. I also expect to spend part of my time early in the week reviewing some of the archived committee meetings, specifically from the tax committee, in relation to conversations and hearings related to the revocation of the LLC exemption in the state. I understand that there were some significant conversations and testimony provided in that particular committee, and I'm anxious to hear about those as soon as possible. As a final matter, I was back home this weekend, most specifically for the Tournament of Champions, but it's always nice to get back into town for a few days when we don't specifically have meetings or workings going on in the state capitol. Can't hardly not comment on the status of the storm recovery efforts. When it came back into town, it's been obvious that this community has pulled together significantly in an effort to recover from the effects of that ice storm. Obviously, those efforts have gone across many, many sectors of the community, but I did want to point out specifically the special thanks to the men and women at Victory Electric for their tireless efforts at restoring power in the community. Obviously, we will have these efforts going on for some time into the future, but it did look like everyone pulled together, and we saw some of our best efforts as a community in response to this recent ice storm. Over the next couple of weeks, we do anticipate some of the more noteworthy issues facing the legislature to start popping up. The situation with the budget, the tax considerations, and K through 12 budget concerns. At this point in time, we have not received any ruling from the Kansas Supreme Court, and we believe that could come down at pretty much any time here in the next several weeks. I just want to make sure that I reiterate for everyone that I have been extremely pleased that the outlook at the Capitol seems to be positive. There are lots of open minds up there. We know that we have lots of potential resolutions, some of them not very good resolutions, but we have lots of options for the resolutions, and I can assure you that there is a good deal of very considered thought processes going on at the Capitol, lots of good conversations. I haven't seen any indication that anyone is concerned that their voices are not heard in regard to looking for these solutions here in the future, not only for this particular fiscal year, but the fiscal year to come. So in that regard, I would encourage you to continue to stay in touch with me, either by email or Facebook messages. I get emails very easily. We're still struggling at the Capitol with some issues on phone numbers and switchboard. So emailing me is the easiest way to make sure that information or your concerns are getting directly to me. That's at bcralph@swbell.net or brad.ralph@house.ks.gov, G-O-V. If you will get me your email addresses, we will endeavor to have an email list available to us so that we can make the link for these audio updates sent out directly to folks who are interested in them so that you don't have to go looking for them at a Facebook post. I want to thank everyone again for giving me this opportunity to serve you, and I want you to know that I will continue to look for a way to make responsible decisions in Topeka and take responsibility for those decisions when we are in conversations back home. Thank you and stay safe.